The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board meeting, October 26, 2021.
Just mentally preparing. How are you?
Doing great. Well, I think I left to start picking up people and dropping them off at 3:15. I didn't waste a moment when I got here just now.
Right. Looks like you're getting some people in the studio.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just been busy over there.
Local, or are they coming out from out of town?
Local for now. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I got somebody booking a vacation from Vegas here pretty quick, so doing the 3-day.
So when somebody finishes, how do you celebrate that? How do you get that, like, does the local community get to hear, like, is it something that was made in the studio, or?
We could probably do something like that. A lot of times in 3 days, it's not gonna be something that's
Right.
Kyle, could you let any of our board members that are not present give them a text that we're waiting for them?
Absolutely. So Ian's here in person.
Oh, great.
And I did just text Kurt and Brian a little bit ago, so, and then did just send him an email with the Zoom link as well.
Okay, well, we have a quorum, so let's get started.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am?
Okay. So I'd like to call the regular meeting of the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board to order. Today is Tuesday, October 26, 2021, and I have 4:04. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Kyle, would you please lead us?
Yes. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, we have Marietta and Ian and myself, and would you let me know when the others link in or arrive?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We'll start with item 3, public comment. Do I have anybody online for public comment?
Nobody
We'll go ahead.
online.
We'll go ahead with it in person. Anyone for public comment in person?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, I have ongoing concerns that I've submitted in the past and yet to receive any answers. Again, I want to know about the new parking lot for the convention center. Still no center walkway, does not meet minimum ADA requirements. We have a light that was installed on private property. I need some answers on that. Also, the money that was given to the community choir for pigeon control needs to come back. Again, they were not they're not a public entity. The time that they applied for the money, they're a private club. Again, I remind you that they had a sign posted on the front of the building, no soliciting, no loitering, no skateboarding, and lastly, private property. You can't give money to a private entity. Again, I've asked and I've yet to receive any in regards to the money that was given to the golf course. Again, what was the increase in play? That's almost a couple of years, so we're older. Also in regards to the railroad, they're getting funding, don't work under the open meeting law. They should be cut off. I attended a city council meeting on the 20th of this month. The railroad did not allow a potential company to cross their tracks even though they offered them $700 a day. I'm offended by that. If we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the railroad and we're looking to expand our economic base here, and they're offering to pay just to cross the tracks, and they get turned down, what did the state pay when they crossed the tracks? There's several locations there. I want to know. What does the county pay to cross their tracks? Their facilities are located outside the city limits. I don't like the games. I want some answers. I don't care when or where, but I want them soon. There was nothing in regards to the railroad asking for an amendment. I've not received any information of that. You have a copy of that. I'd like some information. I've not gotten any information in regards to Mr. Spear, who was a contractor with the Tour and Rec Board. Again, does he have a state business license, a city license, commercial location, home occupation? It's no different than any other contractor in this community, and now he sits on the city council. He needs to be accountable. I brought to your attention on more than one occasion in regards to RV setting up throughout the community, commercial property. I want to know if those properties are licensed. I want to know if this board is collecting room tax, because the stay is at least one day, if not up to a week. If licensed properties are paying,
And that's
these
3
others,
minutes.
we need some answers.
Thank you, Mr. Chachas. Is there any more public comment? Hearing none, we'll go forward with new business. Item 4A, discussion and for possible action, approval of the agenda, including removal of agenda items. Have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as posted.
Thank you. Marietta's made okay, and Ian has made a second. Any other discussion? All in favor,
Aye.
indicate by saying aye. Thank you, motion carries. Item B, discussion and for possible action, approval of the minutes from September 28th, 2021. Any corrections on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve as presented.
And I'll second the motion, Madam Chairman.
It's been moved by Ian and seconded by Marietta. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item C, discussion only, review of the financial report. Mr. Horvath?
Okay. Try to get set up real quick. Okay, so we'll start with this document here, which goes through the individual properties and breaks down the hotel motel receipts versus the RV parks and campgrounds. If you go ahead and look at the total room tax collected for the hotel motels for the month of September, it was $229,901.55. The total room tax collected for RV parks and campgrounds was an additional $19,606.68 for a total of room tax collected in the month of September of $249,508.23. There was the question last board meeting of what is the difference between receipts and taxable receipts. And so, because room tax only applies to the base room rate, that is what is considered a taxable receipt. So if a hotel is charging additional for, pay-per-view TVs or breakfast or anything like that, that is not applicable to room tax. If you do notice though that there's not a whole lot of discrepancy between the receipts and the taxable receipts, so where you would see a major discrepancy would be if there was a 28-day rental where they charged for that, but because it qualified under the 28-day rental, that would not be considered a taxable receipt. So I did want to go ahead and just look into that a little bit further so that I had a direct answer about that. Yes, George?
It's confusing is in that why would somebody put down on their report that they also charged for a meal or a gift for the room? That does not make sense.
It's something that it was something that was reported on prior to me getting here, but it's also something that we also reported on in Carson City. And it really just shows the total receipts for the hotel, motels, RVs, but then it breaks down just what's relevant to us for the 13.5% room tax. So I could see where that would be kind of redundant information because there's not really that big of a discrepancy. But it is the way that other communities report and the way that it was reported for at least the 4 years that I've been here, if not earlier. So how that breaks down is that the golf course received $6,618.89 this month. The city of Ely received $40,689.49. The railroad received $36,964.18, which left $158,304.89 to the tour and rec budget. Is there any questions on the hotel, motel, campground breakdown? The next one that we'll go over is the room tax comparison report, and there was two of them, and one of them made the packet and one of them got emailed after the fact. And so the one that got emailed after the fact was the one that had all of the years, the last 3 years, so it was more of a comparison of growth, not just between last year and this year. And so depending on which one you guys have, essentially, for this time last year, we're 20% above where we were in September of last year. If we did have that 3-year comparison, it would show that September was one of those months that was just continuously better and better and better year after year. There wasn't an effect from COVID between the 2021, 2019, 20. It was a consistent growth across in September. So I know that that's what, Caroline, you were asking for, was to see if there was a huge discrepancy between COVID year and non-COVID year. But looking at that, September was a record-breaking month last year during COVID, and this was another 20% above that last year. So I apologize for that not making it into the agenda, but they are sitting right there on the desk if anybody wants to take a look at that.
If I could interrupt.
Absolutely.
Kyle, I could interrupt. I think where I was looking is when it hit, and that's when our lodging facilities just really took a dive. And you look at April of 2019, and we went from 150 to 54. And so COVID just had a tremendous effect on us at that point.
And it was the April, May, June, March, April, May, which were the 3 months that were hit the biggest during that 1920 fiscal year, at upwards of like 60%. So yeah, you are right about that for those months. I am happy to say though that I feel like the September comparisons is apples to apples, looking at where we were at, last year and the year before. The only other document with the financials would be the year-to-date budget. And if we're going through it, we're pretty much spot on where we should be this time in the fiscal year. We are currently operating at 154,000 operating surplus, but I will expect that a lot of the stuff like the grants and things like that will start being reimbursed, and that will that will go ahead and chip away at that a little bit. But nothing really outstanding like as an outlier, no expenses that are above the 100% of what we had budgeted for, so I think it looks good for where we're at, like I said, where we're at in the fiscal year. Any questions about the financial report? All right, well, if there is any, you know where to find me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to item D, discussion and for possible action to ratify the bills. And I'd like to disclose that I have a ownership in Bath Lumber, and so when we come to that, I'll be abstaining from that bill. Let's go ahead with the list of payables for approval. Do we have any questions on those? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay checks 10573 through 10616 minus check 10586 in the amount of $193,632.30.
I don't.
Is there a
I don't think
second?
we have a quorum for this particular motion, do we?
We have a quorum for the item D.
Okay, just
We'll
not
have
the
to,
Bath.
we'll just have to
Okay.
wait until item E.
Okay.
Ian,
And
do you want to second that?
Yeah, I'll second that. I apologize. I
Thank
was just thinking ahead about the Bath Lumber one. I don't think we have a quorum when we get to that one, so, sorry.
and my recommendation would be, we'll just delay that item E in the hopes that we get a quorum before the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, good advice. So we have a motion made by Marietta and a second by Ian to approval to ratify the bills, excluding Bath Lumber's bill. Any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then as guided by our council, we will just delay item E. Item F,
Hold on.
discussion.
Caroline, there's a question in the audience. George, yes?
On your check, 10597, $2,000 for horse race photography. What does that entail? That wasn't for the horse races, was it?
That was, we hired a photographer to come out and photograph the horse race because we only had 5 photos for marketing. And so we needed more photos for the horse races and the fair and everything like that for future marketing. So that actually included another event. So it was 2 events for the $2,000. He just sent us the bill for 1. So it was for photography for the horse races.
Okay, that had nothing to do with the races themselves.
We did not give that money to the horse races. We ourselves hired a photographer to do the photography for the horse races.
Okay,
Because we needed it for marketing.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead to item F, discussion and for possible action, ambassador training and rollout.
Yes.
I will turn it over to you.
Perfect. So to update the board, we have been working on the ambassador training and rollout. I've been working with Abby, essentially our ambassador visitor liaison, and we've come up with the outline of what this looks like. So I didn't want to go through the entire 50-slide PowerPoint show today because that might be a little bit too much, but essentially it's, you know, advocating and letting people know really what does tourism do for White Pine County, the economic impact of it, how many people that money touches throughout the county. It also goes into good public, good customer service, the questions you ask to build rapport, and then it does a deep dive into the attractions, the way we promote the attractions, the information, the communities, and then it finishes with what tourism offers to organization and events through like marketing services and things like that. And then we also are adding an opportunity to compile all the volunteer opportunities that are in the county to try to once people get inspired and they're jazzed up on their community again, and we've got them thinking about, you know, what they love the most and everything, trying to get some more of that volunteerism out there. And also we've been working with the organizations on how to develop volunteer relations, how to keep those volunteer relations, so it's not just showing what are the opportunities, but also if you're looking for volunteers or dependent on volunteers, how do you show them a good time? How do you treat them right so they come back the next year? And so what we've done is we've got the outline, we've got the PowerPoint presentation, I've got eyes looking at it currently to make sure that the information is correct up to a point. And then what the goal is that I've reached out to the Chamber of Commerce Board, the Museum Board, the McGill Town Council, the Baker Business Consortium, and what I would like to do is I would like to do a community test run to where we get our partners coming in and looking at this, where we're asking questions and being like, well, here's what we've come up with and here's how we market it, but what would you guys add? You know, what did we miss? And then, so that would be, yes, to cover our bases, but essentially to get the buy-in from all of our partners in the community to be like, we had a part of developing this ambassador training, and because of that, you know, we're gonna be behind you supporting that the whole way. So what we're trying to do now is figuring out what afternoon that this dry run, this test run can be with everybody. The plan would be to provide some sort of meal. Nothing too extensive, but we are asking people to come for about 2 hours after work to do this, to help us to partner on this. So I would like to do some sort of food and drink when we do that. So like I said, I'm just waiting to get back from the organizations of what the best time is, but I really like where it's going. I know Caroline has been checking in with us to kind of monitor the progress. So like I said, we're trying to get it up to a point with to point to them where we can invite the partners in and still leave enough open-ended questions for them to fill in the gaps so that they're part of the process. Any questions about that? I would be happy to show anybody if you're interested. Again, though, it is about a 50-slide PowerPoint presentation, so that is still in its draft form, but I would be happy to go over that with anybody who's interested.
Would you please just when you schedule one of these, whether you've got one or two for soliciting input, if you could include the board members, because it'll be nice for us to get that, provide input also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It looks really good, and it's going to be a fun thing where there's print collateral, there's directions, there's a lot of opportunity for input, so.
Yeah, and like I say, it goes over all of our print collateral, which ones are the primary ones, which ones are the secondary ones. It goes over all of our social media, and how people can get involved and help out with that. It does a deep dive tour of the website, and particularly the community calendar and the featured events. And then it'll have the kind of print to go along with it, so an annual list of all of the events and what months those are happening, the restaurant attraction cheat sheet. So we're really trying to not just speak at people for 2 hours, but give them the tools to be successful, and if they don't have an answer specifically, then they'll know where to go to send people to, because ultimately we should be the top of the pyramid here between this facility and the visitor center and the chamber. In a pinch, you can always send people there and we'll have the right answers, so.
Okay, that sounds great. Are there any questions? So it'll be great to get launched this fall and winter, so we're all primed. We'll go ahead and go to item G. We don't need to vote on this, with just a discussion and for the ambassador training. And this G is discussion and for possible action. Travel Nevada marketing grant application for White Pine County Tourism and Recreation. They're due November 7th, 2021.
Yes, and so I just did a screen share. I had all this on my director's report, so I'm just sharing so what I'm circling right now is what we're talking about, and where it says due, the applications are due November 7th, but the end of this project period is June 30th, 2022. So in the last grant cycle, we were awarded reprinting We were awarded an art promotional video, and we were awarded for a storytelling campaign. So in this new grant cycle, some of the ideas, and you know, sometimes you're like, you've always got to come up with a good idea, and you get writer's block. It's kind of where I'm at right now. We've had so many good ideas for so long that I'm like open for suggestion on this next round of grants. So some of the things that I've come up with are the reprinting of the 50 Fabulous booklets that were mailed out to White Pine County, Lincoln County, and Eureka County. Hugely popular, phone's ringing off the hook to try to get more of them, so I think it would be a good idea to go to Franklin Printing and try to get just a large cachet to have here at the office to go ahead and hand out. I know we're gonna get a little bit, but we should probably have more. I know Rudy's Music Festival, the Shellraiser Music Festival, is gonna be a really big deal. This is our first big festival in the county. And so I was considering writing a report to help market specifically the Shellraiser and targeting those bigger population areas to try to get them to come out for this event. So that would be another. These first two, I think I definitely want to write grants for. Like those are a given. I'm going to write grants for those. The second two are just opportunities that have come up. The board expressed interest in why we had such a gap in our PR during the summer months in regards to people coming out, articles being written, influencers and things like that. And so this is I said mountain bike, but it's a trails-based outdoor recreation PR campaign specifically to drive more trail-based use. That would be OHV as well as mountain biking, as well as trail running during the summer months. Not that we didn't see them here, but we didn't get the media and the press that I was really hoping for from the current campaign that we were doing. So the price tag on that one is variable depending on how many months we want to do it, but that was something that was submitted by the Abbey Agency. And then this other idea that came across was Herman Tour Group, which is out of America. I've spoken with them at multiple international conferences put on by Travel Nevada, but they do a domestic marketing program. They also do an international marketing program, and they're geared more towards national parks and history-based stuff. So if we were looking at trying to drive more domestic travel to Great Basin National Park in Baker, then this is something that we could probably write a grant for. It's a very easy entry point to get into. I don't think we would want to go with the international promotion, even though I do know Europeans love the national parks, and particularly Germans, which is kind of their niche. But we're just not seeing that international travel yet. So I think if we were going to put our eggs in one basket, it would be the domestic one with this group. So I'm gonna open up to everybody here. What are some ideas for some great grant opportunities in this next round?
Well, I think the domestic would be the way to go at this point, because I don't think we know enough about opening up the borders or where we are on that, or whether people are coming. I don't know where it is in Las Vegas, so I think a domestic would, and we're a drive market anyway, so it seems like a domestic would be a great idea. And I like the Shellraisers in particular, because we've been wanting to expand into music, and where Rudy is fronting it. I mean, we don't have any expense with this, and we have all the gain with the room nights and what will happen with our restaurants and et cetera. So I think that's a priority of helping him, helping that whole event. And then, of course, with the 50 Fabulous Places, those are, if we can get those, that would be wonderful. And maybe we ought to send one to them so they see what it is before
Right.
the Travel Nevada group. Yeah, because it is pretty fabulous. So, I mean, those are my ideas. And I think you throw everything up on the wall and see what they like, whatever sticks. But
Right.
I would hope that the Shellraiser would.
Okay.
Any other input from Ian? Do you have some ideas on things?
what was coming, the question, how much money are we talking about is it if we give out these grants?
So usually, if you're asking for in the 5 to 15,000, it's a pretty respectable ask, and Travel Nevada likes to grant a